With Kingdom Hearts 2.5 coming out in a few months, I thought I'd share my thoughts on why, in my personal opinion, Kingdom Hearts 2 is the best game in the series, and why you should be excited for Kingdom Hearts 2.5, and also why so many other people are kind of share this opinion with me. I'm gonna explain my points and why I personally feel this way, and show examples supporting my case. So compared with Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2 has a much deeper and darker story. It has a lot of new characters like Organization 13, and it adds new plot lines and things that Sora and the gang have to do to overcome the darkness, and it just makes the series much more interesting in my opinion, albeit more confusing, but it's what you gotta deal with, you know. It's the Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of made the series more interesting for me, and I like that about it. So the next thing is that Kingdom Hearts 2 had much better combat. It was more fluid, and it had many better abilities. The abilities were so fun to use, and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix adds even more that you'll probably see in some of this gameplay. So the combat is really fast-paced, and it's really fun. So the menus are also better in Kingdom Hearts 2. So in Kingdom Hearts 2, everything is streamlined. Everything is in the same menu pretty much. All your equipment, usable items, everything is done from the same menu. The keyblades, the usable items in your item slots, and your equipment, everything is right there for you. It's really nice. And the customization is even better. I feel you can use more hotkeys and shortcuts for your magic, and some more customization options for Donald and Goofy. You can't really customize as much in this game, but they give you some nice presets to use. That's one thing. Donald and Goofy are more less customizable, I would say. So that's the one thing, but everything does look nicer in Kingdom Hearts 2 in terms of the menus. And compared with other games, so such as Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance, which have command styles, command abilities, and Dream Link. Dream Link, I didn't really like Dream Link, that was kind of stupid. But the ability selection and drive forms, I feel, is a much better system for Kingdom Hearts. I think that selecting your abilities and it'll automatically use them in combat is really fun, and it makes it much, not easier necessarily, but it makes it more fast, it makes it more, it's just more fun to me personally. Like, a lot of other people say that commands are better. That's all personal preference, but to me, I prefer having just the fun combat, with the shortcut magic and the just the abilities mixed into your combos, because it makes the combat look cooler. You don't, like, for example, say slide dash. Slide dash is a command that you have to use in a slot in Birth by Sleep. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, it's an ability that costs AP that it might automatically use in battle if you're far enough away from an enemy. I like that system much better. And the drive forms are so much fun to use. The drive forms, I love how they level up and how you need to do certain tasks to get better abilities like glide, high jump, dodge roll. All of them are connected to leveling up your drive forms. And I personally feel that is a much better, like, special ability set other than the command style. So the command styles is if you use certain number of commands that of a certain type, then you might go into like a fire command style or a thunder command style. And I personally like the drive forms much better because you could select which one you want to use, and they're just, all of them are really fun to use. The command styles, some of them were kind of and it kind of went into it without question. Like, if it was the last enemy and you used fire and it filled up, you went into the fire command style, and then there was no more enemies to fight. So I feel like it was a much better, more kind of smooth system going into a drive form, and they were really fun to use. So Birth by Sleep, I personally feel, has a slightly better game for the story, but personally, I feel like I would rather have a more well-rounded game, and that's something about Kingdom Hearts 2. It is an extremely well-rounded game. It is really consistent. Everything about it is top-notch, but there's a few things that I'm kind of iffy about with the game, and I'll get into those now. So my gripes about the game are, the game is very streamlined. Most of you will probably know this if you played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. The worlds are much more linear. There's not much to do in the worlds. Some areas are pretty open, and areas such as Twilight Town have a lot to explore. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, every world had something to explore and find hidden stuff, and there was always a reason to go back to the worlds and find new items and whatnot. And for example, in Kingdom Hearts 1, getting the lucky, I forget the name of the keyblade, but the Alice in Wonderland keyblade, you had to go completely out of your way to get it, and if you didn't know exactly how to get it, it could have been really confusing, and if you found it by accident, you could have gotten the Keyblade without even realize where you were going, and it's really cool. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, everything is pretty linear, but that's kind of minor for me, because everything else about the game is so good that I could kind of worry less about exploration, because the game has enough exploration in parts where you need it, in my opinion. So, cough, cough, here we go into the next cough part that a lot of people are annoyed with. Cough. The Roxas part. Yes, you guys kind of probably saw this coming. The reason I was saying cough is because so many people are complaining about this part, not only because it's long, but most people say they don't know who Roxas is, and that they don't like that. But if you continue on with the game, I feel like it expands on Roxas's story as you go in the game, and I like that. I like the feeling of not knowing about him, and then it expands on him, and you kind of grow and learn more about him and who he is and why he's there. And I kind of like that. I like that mysterious kind of feel of this character, and a lot of people, when they say, "Oh, well, I went into the game, I saw Roxas," I'm like, "Who is this? I want to play as Sora." And then it was an hour of playing as him, and I still don't know who he is. And I mean, you can't go into the game thinking that. You kind of have to be willing to be open to new storylines. And when I first played it, I was, 8 years old, so it was really exciting for me, personally, like, going into this new character. Like, when I first played it, I was very confused, and I wanted to know what was going on, but thinking back, that was a great feeling, because when you learn more about him, it made it all the more satisfying, not knowing about him in the beginning, and then learning about him was this whole elaborate thing. So, yeah, I don't really understand people who complain about that. I understand it's long, that's the main thing, the Roxas sequence is long, but other than that, it's fine. I don't understand why people complain about not knowing who he is. So the next part that people complain about, and I'm warning you, once you play Kingdom Hearts 2, if you want to invest yourself in the story, be prepared for a total crazy story after this. It only gets crazier from Kingdom Hearts 2. If you think it expands into crazy plot lines from Kingdom Hearts 2, it only gets worse once you play Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. Holy hell, that game was a story crap fest. Not that it was bad, it was just crazy. But yeah, so you just kind of be prepared to invest yourself in a story if you want to keep going with it. And that's not a bad thing. It's just warning you, it can get a little crazy with Kingdom Hearts storyline. So those are the gripes. They're not very major. The compliments I have about the game much outshine the gripes I have about it, and that is a great thing. And now with Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, if it's your first time playing it, going into 2.5, you're in for a treat, because I would say there's about 20 new boss battles total, around that number, counting the data battles and the spirits, the black orbs. You'll see what I mean. The ones that unlock the data battles, the Mushroom 13, which are kind of like special Heartless, but completing them gives you a special Keyblade, and there's 13 of them. You get it. They're shaped like mushroom versions of Organization 13, and they're really fun, and they provide a good challenge. And the biggest special boss, the hardest boss, one of the hardest bosses, if not the hardest secret boss in Kingdom Hearts history, personally. I would say he's about tied with young Xehanort in Birth by Sleep. So he is awesome. Terra's Lingering Will, you are in for a treat when you fight all the secret bosses, and when you complete the game, there's so much to do. It's awesome. So yeah, I'm probably gonna show a secret boss, well, not a data battle at this part, just to show you some of the combat in there. Okay, so you're probably gonna notice a weird audio cut there. Something weird happened with my mic, so just don't mind that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just overall, it's a great game. The Final Mix content makes it at least a 60-hour game, I would say, if you invest yourself in the game. If you kind of played it before and you're kind of rushing through it, it might take you about 40 hours to do everything. So yeah, and not to mention critical mode. Critical mode is awesome. I would highly recommend going into critical mode. It is a critical mode. It's not really that it's hard. It's just a great experience. Critical mode is just really fun. So I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, overall, fun combat, awesome abilities, great boss battles, great story, and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix content is amazing. Those are my personal reasons why Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, well, not just necessarily Final Mix, but Kingdom Hearts 2 in general, with Final Mix as well, is the best game in the series. Thank you all for watching. See you next time. Please subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Peace.